Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. In this video we will try to understand sampling in detail. Now sampling is a very crucial aspect in any research process and hence it has to be planned as per the needs of the study. So let us move ahead and try to understand what is sampling in simple terms. Sampling, first let us try to understand what is sample. So the term sample refers to a small part from the whole which is a representative of the qualities of the larger whole. Now you must have noticed the procedure of sampling in your day-to-day life, like the process of taking a sample while cooking. So it gives an idea whether the food is ready or it needs modification. So accordingly changes are done. So what is sampling? Sampling is a methodology in which the exact representation of the whole is determined through a small part of the whole. So it is an important aspect not only in research but also in our daily lives too. So let us now move ahead and try to understand what is sampling in research. In social work research also, it is a procedure by which a representative number is determined from the whole population. Now what is population? Population is a group of individuals or persons, objects or terms from which samples are taken for measurement. For example, a population of presidents or professors, books or students. So a sample in technical terms is a finite part of a statistical population whose properties are studied to gain information about the whole. When dealing with people, it can be defined as a set of respondents selected from a larger population for the purpose of this survey. Sampling is the act, process or technique of selecting a suitable sample or a representative part of a population for the purpose of determining parameters or characteristics of the whole population. A representative sampling plan ensures that the selected sample is sufficiently representative of the population. Now, since the sample has to be representative, a methodological approach is applied to determine a small portion which would represent the whole population. And there are different ways and techniques of sampling in research depending upon the type of population to be studied. Now let us consider some of the advantages of sampling. Studying a small group of people would involve lesser resources as compared to the whole population. So therefore, it is economic and cost effective. It would also save much time to study a small group rather than a whole population. Therefore, it is also time saving. It has also been proved that the results obtained through a smaller group is more accurate than the result obtained through a census. Therefore, one of the advantages of sampling is that the study is more accurate, the results are more accurate. Sampling also helps the researcher to have accessibility to the elements of the population. So it is very easy and the small group of population is easily accessible as compared to the larger population. Now we need to consider some of the essentials of sampling, things which we need to take into consideration during the sampling procedure. So it is the prior step towards sampling and it is very important to decide the universe or the population of the study first. For example, undergraduate student of a city or a state, lactating mothers of a community, all child laborers in a state, these are the universe of a study. So our units of sample will be from these well-defined elements. Another most crucial part is to select the sampling design. This depends on the type of population and the objectives of the study. Sampling frame is the list of all units belonging to the population from which the sample will be drawn. The difference between The difference between population and sample is that population is general, whereas sampling frame is more defined and specific. Let us consider the above examples. The sampling frame for this population can be undergrad students of government college, lactating mothers of a community registered with the Anganwadi or health center, all child laborers below the age of 11 years. So these are some of the sampling frame which can be made from the population. Next aspect is to determine the sample size, and it depends on the nature and characteristics of the units under study, and the pattern of distribution is also taken into consideration. Here comes also the chances of sampling error. It comprises of the differences of variation between the sample and the population. So sampling error is the difference which occurs due to the sample we have taken and the whole population. So, and why this difference occurs? It is due to the selection of the units. So some of the units may not get selected in the sample. There is also a possibility of that. So that is called a sampling error. In social sciences, unlike physical sciences, human behavior is studied which tend to be unpredictable at times. So therefore, to reduce error, it is required to be relative, unbiased, adequate and objective. So when we talk about types of sampling, there are basically two types of sampling, that is probability sampling and non-probability sampling. So we will discuss the different types of probability sampling and non-probability sampling in detail. So when we talk about probability sampling, what is probability sampling? It is based on the random selection of units from a population. In other words, every unit in the population has equal chances or probability of being selected as a sample. For example, we can consider that all children in a classroom, every child has equal chance of being selected as a sample. There are different types of probability sampling based to be studied, and they are simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, systematic sampling and cluster sampling. Now let us discuss these in detail. So the first one is simple random sampling, and what it is usually called the lottery method and is carried out with a homogeneous group of population. In this, every unit of the population has equal chance of being selected, and the elements or units are chosen randomly. For example, students in a classroom, employees in an organization, etc. The other sampling method is systematic sampling, and this type of sampling provides an even spread over the population, leading to greater accuracy. In systematic sampling, a fixed interval, say n, is chosen to draw the sample from population. In other words, if n is equal to 3, then every third element from the starting point is chosen in the sample. If the starting point is 2, then every 5th or 8th or 11th element will be taken in the sample. Means between one element and the another element, the gap would be of the n, that is that n can be either 3, 5 or whatever. So this is how systematic sampling is done. Another probability is stratified random sampling. So in this stratified random sampling, this method of sampling which involves division of the population into subcategories or subgroups based on similar characteristics. Units of the sample are chosen from the subgroup or strata. So the units are chosen from these subcategories which has been taken. Now stratification helps improve the representativeness of the sample. For example, if you want to study students of high school, we may first divide the population on the criteria of different grades and gender of the students. So this will help us to get a more a better sample, or we can say a more objective sample or a representative sample. Another sampling technique is the cluster sampling. So this type of sampling is done with large scale studies where the population is spread over a large area, and this helps in minimizing cost as well as time for the study. For the study, the area is divided into smaller areas or clusters, and then stratified or simple random sampling is done in these clusters. Since this involves multiple stages of sampling, hence it is also termed as multi-stage sampling. Now we'll move on to non-probability sampling. Non-probability sampling is based on the subjective judgment of the researcher. Unlike probability sampling, it is a sampling techniques where the probability of the members being selected for a sample cannot be determined. Selection of the units of the sample solely depends on the knowledge and experience of the researcher. So depending upon the technique used, it is also classified as follows: accidental or convenience sampling, purposive sampling, quota sampling, and snowball. Let's discuss these in detail. So what is accidental sampling? Accidental sampling is also referred as convenience sampling, where the selection of the units from the population depends on how readily and conveniently they are available for the study. For example, if our population is undergraduate students of a city, we may choose any college as per our convenience and draw the sample from them. Purposive sampling. This technique is used when the researcher has to make use of his or her judgment to identify the units which would fulfill the purpose of the study. The researcher would select only those units which serve the objective of the study. The difference between convenience and purposive sample is that in convenience sample, the units are selected based on the proximity and ease of availability of the units of the population, whereas in purposive sampling, the focus is on the specific purpose rather than convenience or accessibility. In other words, units are selected based on their specific characteristics and not on their proximity. Even if the elements are difficult to access, they would be included in the sample if the researcher thinks that they serve the purpose of the research. So another sampling method under non-probability sampling category is the quota sampling. This type of sampling ensures inclusion of diverse elements of the population in the sample and ensures that exact proportion as in the population are represented in the sample. For example, let us say we want to study pregnant and lactating mothers in a district. From the Anganwadi registers, it is found that there are a total of 1000 women in this category, of which 300 are lactating mothers, 400 are pregnant women, and 200 pregnant and lactating mothers. Means who are pregnant as well as they are lactating. If we take a sample size of 100, then the sample must include at least 3 lactating women, at least 40 pregnant women, and 20 pregnant and lactating women. So this is about quota sampling. So the last sampling method to be discussed under non-probability is the snowball sampling. In this type of sampling, the researcher starts with a few respondents who in turn guides towards other respondents. This type of sampling is done in a population where the elements are unknown. For example, drug addicts, HIV positive, pickpockets, etc., who may be hesitant to identify themselves and then can be accessed only with reference from the other respondents. So these were some of the sampling techniques which are used in social work research. This choice of the sampling method depends on the requirements and considerations related to individual project. These may include the characteristics of the population under study, objective of the analysis, time available, and of course resources available. So this is all about sampling. I hope you have liked this video. Thank you for watching.